Hello and welcome to In the Kitchen with Mary Mac. Well, the weather's starting to get a little cooler because, of course, it is officially fall. It's supposed to get a little cooler, but here in western Pennsylvania, it's been like the long, long summer. Like the really, really long, long summer. So we finally have some lasting soup weather, which is the best time of the year if you like soup. And I like soup. A few weeks ago, I was supposed to be having some people over, and I went and bought a dozen ears of corn on the cob. And then the people did not come over, and I was like, oh man, I have a lot of corn in the freezer already. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this corn. And I thought, maybe I'll make corn chowder. Maybe I'll try and make corn chowder. So I have had corn chowder before, but I had not made corn chowder before. So I dug through all of my cookbooks thinking that, I have so many cookbooks. And I thought, well, I'll see if I can find a really good recipe for corn chowder. And they were all, how you have an idea in your mind what you want this to be? None of them were that idea that I was reading. So I thought, well, I guess I'll kind of wing it and I'll just do the things. I'll use the basic recipes I'm finding and then do my own twist on it. So that's kind of what I did. One of the things about chowders of this nature is they're sort of like cream soups. So chowders tend to be particularly a seafood cream soup. If you are thinking of clam chowder or something like that, there's two different styles of that. One has a tomato base and one has a cream base. But typically, if something is a chowder, it has a cream base. Now, I am not a huge fan of heavy cream in soup. It's too much for me. My body says, what are we doing here? We cannot do this thing. So usually when I encounter a recipe that calls for a lot of heavy cream, I instead make a thicker white sauce, and I use that in place of the heavy cream. The nice thing about using the white sauce is, well, number one, you can use whatever level of milk you enjoy, skim milk, 2%, whole milk. You can use oat milk or pea milk, work really well. I would not recommend almond milk or soy milk.
It doesn't almond, sometimes it can split.
Yeah, almond can separate, but it also leaves an odd aftertaste when it's heated like that. So I find that oat milk works really well, or so does pea milk. If you wanted to make this a vegan version of this soup, it would be really easy, or dairy-free also. It would be really easy to do that using your white sauce. So I know I've given my white sauce recipe before, but I'm going to give it again at the point where you would need to have white sauce for this so that you can have it. So anyway, that's a great substitution if cream bothers you, or if you want to cut some calories out of something, or if you don't have cream handy. White sauce is great if you don't have heavy cream handy and you're doing any sort of a cooked cream soup, because it works really well. You get about the same texture, so it works really well. So here we go. First, I went with using bacon in my corn chowder, which is common. Some people use ham, some people don't use any meat. But I decided to go with bacon because I wanted the bacon grease to saute my vegetables in and to brown up my corn and potatoes and everything. So I thought this will work great. You need a half pound of good bacon, and I mean good thick cut bacon. If you have a local smoke shop, that's not the right word. If you have a local shop that does smoked meats, get their bacon. So I, of course, went to Beatty's, and I got a pound of Beatty's thick cut bacon. I cooked the whole pound, but I only used half of it in the recipe. But then I had a lot of bacon grease. So I poured that off into a bowl so that I could use it to as I needed to fry. So get your bacon, nice thick cut bacon, fry it until it's nearly crisp, and then take that off, set it on a plate with paper toweling to drain the extra fat off. Not that it actually matters in this recipe, but, go ahead and do that. And then later on, we're going to break that into small pieces to put into our chowder. Reserve your bacon grease, and you can put that if you want to put that into a glass container or a glass bowl, do not Do not attempt to pour your bacon grease into a plastic anything and keep it, because you will have a disaster of untold. I can't. It'll be horrible. So don't do that.
Are
Please.
you speaking from personal experience?
Yes, I am actually. So I can tell you that it will not go well.
Yeah, I imagine it would pretty quickly melt.
Oh yeah, right through it, right out onto the stove. So yeah, use a nice glass bowl, or if you have a small glass jar, that works well too. That way, if you have any extra, then it's in your jar. A lot of people maintain a jar of bacon grease for just use, which I used to when I was young and didn't care about my heart that much. I had my bacon grease jar. However, I'm a more sensible person at this age. But I can tell you, it is great to have a jar of bacon grease in your fridge to fry stuff in, because wow. Here we go. You're going to need, in addition to your bacon, you'll need 1 large onion, diced, 2 medium bell peppers, and they can be any color, or you can use 2 different colors to give a little fancy color to your chowder. And you need to clean those, get the seeds out of them, and dice those up. Don't make them too little. Make them, I would say, like a 1/2 inch dice, or slightly smaller than that is good. You're going to need 4 or 5 cups of corn. If you don't want as much corn in your soup, use less, of course. But what I did was I boiled my corn on the cob, and then I just cut the corn right off. I like to do mine that way. Some people cut the corn off and then they fry it. I like to boil it to set the milk, boil it, cool it, and then take a nice sharp paring knife and just cut that corn right off, and it'll come off kind of like in sheets, and you have to break it up. But you can also use already frozen corn that you have done, or frozen corn from the grocery store. But I recommend, if you can possibly, if you have frozen corn that you've done, or if you have corn on the cob available, I would definitely use that. But if in a pinch, you can use a bag of frozen corn also. You'll need 10 small potatoes. And what's nice is if you have, say, red skin potatoes, Yukon Gold, or a mix, or those really cool multicolor potatoes, because you could make this thing like rainbow chowder. And what you're going to do is scrub your potatoes really good and cut them into a 1/2 inch dice and leave the skins on. You want about 3 cups of finished diced potatoes here. So like I said, small potatoes. So if you measure them while you go, then you'll know if you're approaching. A little more isn't terrible though, so And then you're going to need 4 cups of either vegetable broth or chicken broth. I've been getting, and I've talked about it before, Gia Russa makes these dry soup bases, and they're in a can, and they have vegetable base, chicken base, ham base, and beef base. The vegetable and the ham base are vegan, actually. So if you want to add smoky flavor to something and you don't eat meat at all, you can use that as a powder. Works great. These are made to be a sort of a broth/soup base. So you dissolve, I don't, of course, follow the directions, but you dissolve a nice spoon of it in a cup of hot water, and it's very flavorful. They're really good, all of them.
I think it's like 1/2 teaspoon per cup of boiling water, because I get the chicken one.
You're such a killjoy. 1/2 teaspoon.
Sorry.
Come on.
You can add more, because it's unlike like a bouillon cube or something. There's not a lot of sodium in it. So you can add more, and it's not going to be like incredibly, like unbearably salty.
Oh yes, that is true, and they are very flavorful. They put a lot of, they cook a lot of vegetables in it, so you get this really great flavor. So I really like the vegetable for just about anything. The chicken is great too. So I highly recommend those, and they are in the section where you would normally find the broth and stuff like that.
Yeah, like by the bouillon cubes.
Yeah, or you can look them up online, but they are excellent. They're very low cost. For the size of the container, they're very low cost, so check them out. So you would need 4 cups of broth, and then you need 2 batches of white sauce, or 2 cups of white sauce. You can double the recipe, but I think it sounds, if I tell you that, it makes more sense. I'm telling you, for years I tried to make white sauce and it never would get thick. And I'm like, this is stupid. You know what I mean? Like, so then I finally, I finally got it. I finally got it to work. So I use it all the time. I use it to make gravy. I use it to thicken things. I use it all the time. So here we go. So what you're going to need is a Dutch oven. As I said, I love my Le Creuset style Dutch oven. I suppose it would be, it's a Kirkland. So it's from Costco.
Yeah.
But I have a Kirkland Dutch oven that's cast iron, So if you have a cast iron Dutch oven, that works great. I also have a Revereware Dutch oven that I got at a yard sale that is awesome. So I use that also. So if you have a Dutch oven or even a 4 to 6 quart pan with a nice heavy bottom that you can, let something cook for a while, do that. The way we do this is we're going to go in batches of each thing. So we started with our bacon, right? We have our bacon ready. Now you're going to put, I'm going to say a teaspoon of bacon grease into the pan, but you can put more than that in. I'm just trying to not be me when I'm giving you this recipe, because I probably put a tablespoon in, but you probably didn't need that much, okay? Because a little bacon grease goes a long way.
But you can use that much if you want.
You can use that much if you want. So fry your onions and peppers together in about a teaspoon to a tablespoon of bacon grease until they're cooked. The onions will be a little bit translucent, but you want them to get, not all of them, but you want some of them to get a little bit browned up, okay? Because we're kind of building flavor in our pan here. So once you have those browned up, very carefully have a large glass or metal bowl there by where you're cooking, and very carefully remove those to your bowl. If you don't get all of them out, no biggie, but remove your onions and peppers to a large bowl. Then you're going to add some more bacon grease, another teaspoon or tablespoon or so of bacon grease, and put the corn in. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to cook that corn, try to break it up, because like I said, if you cut it off the cob, it's going to be in sheets. You need to break that up a little bit, and you want to pour that into your bacon grease and cook it a little bit and see if you can get it to get a little bit browned, a little bit brown looking, because you want to get a little bit of that flavor. And then remove your corn into your big bowl, which is a little bit harder to do than the onions and peppers, believe me, but as much as you can get. Now, put in a little bit more bacon grease and add your potatoes. The potatoes take a little bit longer to cook. You want to cook your potatoes and brown them lightly. And at this point, you can put some salt and pepper on your potatoes. I usually go with a teaspoon of salt and a half teaspoon of pepper. And just put that on your potatoes, cook them, stir them around, brown them up a little bit. Once you get to the point where your potatoes, you can test one or two and make sure that they're just about cooked through and a little bit brown. You're going to just add your broth into the potatoes and stir that up and kind of scrape the bottom of the pan to get any of those little bits that might be stuck, and stir your potatoes in. Bring that up to a simmer, and then add your onions and peppers and corn. Now bring that back up again to a low boil. Once you get that to a low boil, turn it down and get it simmering, and you want to let that simmer for about 20 minutes. After you've gone about 20 minutes, during which time you're going to make your white sauce, put your white sauce into your chowder and mix that in real well and let that simmer for about 20 to 30 minutes. Okay, once you have that combination, you've got your broth, your onions, peppers, corn, potatoes, everything in there, and your white sauce. Allow that to thicken up a little bit. Now you're going to take your bacon and break it into small pieces and put that into your chowder. And now you can continue to let that simmer for 30 to 60 minutes or so, or you can just keep it on low and as long as you want. Now, your chowder is done. This is very filling. So I would say you don't really need much with this other than some good hearty bread with it. And maybe don't do cornbread though. That might be corn overload.
Yeah,
too much corn. You don't want to have too much corn. But get some nice hearty bread and butter and have that with your chowder. You could even add a couple dashes of hot sauce to your chowder if you like that sort of thing. This is a very hearty filling and it's really good. So I'm going to give you the white sauce now. And like I said, you can make that white sauce while your soup is simmering, at the point before you add your white sauce, of course, but while your soup is simmering. So what you want to do is get a small pan, like about a 1 quart pan. And to make 1 cup of white sauce, you're going to add 1 tablespoon of butter, let that melt, And then you're going to add a 4th cup of flour and stir that in with a whisk into your butter and get that incorporated, and gradually add a cup of milk. So what I usually do is add like half of a cup of milk and stir that up until my flour mixes in, really well so it's nice and smooth. And then I gradually add the rest of my cup of milk. And then I add a 4th teaspoon of salt, an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper. And I continue to stir that until, as it thickens up, what I do is I set my stove timer for like 1 or 2 minutes, depending upon what point we're on, because if I don't, I will inevitably forget, and I will have a solid mass of flour cooked to the bottom of my pan, which is then very difficult to get incorporated back into the milk and make smooth. Virtually impossible. I have to push it through a sieve, and this is true. So like I said, this can be doubled really easily. You just do 2 tablespoons of butter, half a cup of flour, 2 cups of milk, half teaspoon of salt, 4th teaspoon of pepper, and double that up and make it. And then when you've got that, it'll be thickening on one burner while your soup's cooking on the other burner. Once you get it to a nice thickened state, add that into your soup and stir it in real well right away. Don't just add it and not stir it, though. That's also a bad plan. So add it in and stir it up and then let that cook. And this made a really nice corn chowder. I really liked it a lot. I actually probably put way more corn in than I told you to put in. Cut back on that because it had a lot of corn. But I really like corn, so I thought it was really good. There you go. A lovely corn chowder for a cool fall day. And it's pretty easy to make, especially if you freeze corn like I do in the summertime. You just go grab a couple of packs of your frozen corn and bing, bang, boom, you got chowder. And it can be very easily made dairy-free or even vegan just by using vegan bacon products that you can get, or fakin, as we call it, and oat milk and margarine. So there you go. Very customizable. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you give it a try and tell me how good it is, because you're going to love it.
And make sure to check us out online on social media at Mary Mac Bakehouse and on our website, marymacbakehouse.com. And this Saturday, the Wampum Fall Festival is happening, so head on over to Wampum, Pennsylvania, and pick up some delicious Mary Mac chocolate chip cookies.
Thanks a lot for listening if you did, and if you didn't, too bad for you.